What's going on, guys? It's a bearded one back with another beer review. It's National Beer Day. I had to get a review up even though I don't usually post on Tuesdays. This is take two. Luckily, I bought a crowler of this, so I have plenty of beer for take two. I did an entire review of this beer, and the audio was shot. For some reason, the microphone wasn't plugged into my phone very well. And just like the terrestrial triple from Rocket Republic, the audio was ruined and had to be deleted. Unfortunately, for that terrestrial triple, that video was lost. I drank all the beer before I even knew the audio was ruined. So darn it. I'm going to have to go back to Rocket Republic, and I'm going to have to purchase some more beer. Darn. But today we got Rocket Republic, a crowler from them. I love these crowlers from everybody, not just Rocket Republic. Now just look at that. And then here's what it is on the back. Dark Matter. It was poured for me on April the 3rd of this year, so it's very fresh. And then the ABV, you're reading that right. I don't know if you're reading it backwards or not, but that's 12% ABV, one of the higher ABVs I've ever drank. I'm not sure if I've drank much higher than 12%. Being in Alabama, we can't get beer over 13.9%. But that's just something we got to live with here in the state. I know it sucks, but that's just how it is. I've been doing my part, guys. You know, if you follow the Instagram, I've been putting, what are they called on Instagram? They're called tweets on Twitter. I've been putting grams out, I guess. Instant grams out of my purchases. And right now, during this COVID-19 quarantine, I think it's especially important to not only support local beer, but if you can, support the really, really small breweries at this point. I believe Trim Tab out of Birmingham, Good People out of Birmingham. I believe Yellowhammer out of Huntsville, Straight to Ale out of Huntsville. I believe Serta seems big enough. If I'm just judging their distribution, never been there. I don't know what the brewery looks like. I don't know how much money they make. But just judging by their distribution, I believe Serta Automobile is probably going to make it. But if this quarantine goes on for a long time, is Bowler Hat in Madison, Alabama on Highway 72. They just opened like a month or two before this quarantine. So can they survive this? I know Green Bus in Huntsville is fairly small. Salty Nut in Huntsville is in a garage. Mad Malts is fairly small. Interstellar is right beside, or is it below the? It's either below the radar or Interstellar. There's like 2 or 3 breweries right there on Clinton Avenue, bunched together right to the right of Yellowhammer, and they're really small breweries. Can they survive this? I don't know. I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm not trying to make you feel guilty if you're drinking Bud Miller Coors, but just do what you can. Because Bud Miller and Coors survived the Great Depression. They're going to survive COVID-19. Heineken, Corona, it's all going to be here when we're back to normal. But is Cross-Eyed Owl, Indicator, going to be here? I don't know. It kind of depends on how many people are willing to support and how long this quarantine lasts. I'm doing my part, though. I went to Straight to Ale, Yellowhammer, Cross-Eyed Owl, and Rocket Republic a weekend or two ago. Got some beer. Actually, it was the day. Governor Kay finally, not the shelter in place, but the announcement before that, where she finally announced like some sort of a quarantine ruling. I think I was still officially laid off for COVID-19 at work at that point. Yeah, this is one of those beers on that run. I did mention the terrestrial triple from Rocket Republic already. And you know, that video's ruined, but I bought that. I'll have to buy it again. And then Friday, which today is the 7th, 8th, 9th. So the 10th, April 10th, April 9th or 10th. It would be that Friday. I plan to go out, hopefully with my buddy Juice, longtime buddy Juice. Shout out to his channel, Juice's Brewing Q. He's on my featured channels, Juice's Brewing Q. Give him a subscription, a view, a like, comment, whatever. Hopefully I can make a beer run with him, and then I plan to go back to Straight to Ale for some Druid City Brewing beer, because they've partnered with Druid City. If you haven't followed the channel, I've mentioned that before. Straight to Ale has partnered with them to try and help grow Druid City. I think it's a very noble thing of Straight to Ale. And then Straight to Ale took on Salty Nut or somebody else here recently to try and help grow their distribution and their company as well. It's not a corporate takeover. It's more of a partnership. But I do believe Straight to Ale owns these two companies nonetheless. Doesn't matter to me. All I care about is that beer is still around in the end of this. So yeah, do your part. Bud, Miller, Coors, Heineken, Corona, Yingling. It's all gonna be around after COVID-19. Off my soapbox, on to the review. Did I say it yet? Dark Matter. 12% ABV. Let's get that poured. Can you see the pour? I don't know if you can. I'll try to be a little more aggressive. I can't get any head off this thing. Yeah, it's an already open crowler, so, you know, the head's not going to be fantastic. It retains fairly well for a non-Belgian quad. It is a Belgian quad, but is not from Belgium is what I mean. So it retains well for an American quad, if we're going to call it that. But it still dissipates, as you can see, nonetheless. Excuse me. I do not have COVID. Just a dry cough there. It's a very dark red, almost purple. It's not quite violet. It's just a very, very dark, very dark red. Looks black here on camera, but it's not, and I can tell you. And then over here, it's just got this beautiful, it just almost goes just a tinge purplish red. Not violet around the glass. It looks black in the center, but it's not a black beer by any means. Not a lot of volatility or action going on as far as bubbles and carbonation. You just don't see anything. Not seeing any bubbles rise to the top. Head's completely gone. Getting a sweet, bready presence. I talked about this in take one. But I can't necessarily identify. Obviously, it's not pale malt. You can see in the color of the beer, it's not pale malt. But I can't really place the kind of malt. It's definitely not roasty. It's definitely not dark and chocolatey. I have had a quad with some chocolatey presence in it. I don't feel like I'm getting any toffee or chocolate or caramel in here. So I'm real interested to know what kind of malt they used in here. Very sweet and bready like. Definitely getting some phenols. I'd have to look back and re-watch some of my quad reviews, but I'm not sure that I get phenols just predominant in quads, and it's not dominant in here. That's not a bad choice of words, but it definitely stands out enough for me to pick it out. It's leaning more on the clove, but I do feel like I'm getting some banana in here. And then stone fruits. Stone fruits are the darling of the show, and I'm talking about plums, apricots, raisins, dates, that sort of thing. Maybe a black cherry, but I think it's stretching it for black cherry. I feel like I'm getting some yeast in here. I love the smell of Belgian yeast. I think that's what I'm smelling. It's Belgian yeast. Anyways, it's just this one particular note that I can smell out of doubles, triples, and quads. And I just want to say it's that Belgian yeast. Very sweet, bread-like. Beautiful aroma. I don't have much else to say about it. I said this in the first cut, so I'll just say it again here now. I can't decide if I'm articulating everything in this beer or not, or if it's really complex and I'm missing things. I did not come prepared for this review, and I'm sorry about that. Sometimes it's fun to do a blind review where I don't know the history of the beer, or I don't know the ingredients, you know, the malt bill. But yeah, that's just really my thoughts on that aroma. And then there's no hop presence whatsoever on this beer. This beer is sweet to the max. Now, not candy sweet. It's naturally sweet, but it is a very sweet beer. Stone fruits, again. The raisins, dates, apricots, prunes, that sort of thing. Maybe there's a plum in here. Maybe dark cherry. I don't know. I don't want to be that guy that's pulling out 80 different ingredients and then he's just kind of talking out of his ass. But, you know, maybe there's plum. Maybe there's dark cherry. I don't know. Drink the beer and decide for yourself. It definitely ventures down that avenue in terms of fruitiness. Phenols, again, clove, tinge of banana. I mean, it doesn't taste like a banana beer whatsoever. I think that the banana just kind of plays in with this underlying sweetness that I talked about in the first cut. Is it lactose? Is it brewed with oats? Is it vanilla even? I don't know. I don't feel like there's molasses in here. I've had quads with molasses in here. I'm not getting any syrupy, candied, thick substance in here. So I don't think it's like a molasses or a syrup of any kind. And then again, that malt backbone, that bready sweetness, that yeasty, bready, Belgian-y goodness that makes this beer so good and dangerous. Man, is this beer dangerous. You guys could get soused on this beer. And I'm probably going to get soused on this beer, because this is my second take back to back. Oh, but there is no alcohol presence in here whatsoever. I mean, there's no hop presence. There's no alcohol. I mean, maybe they used German nobles in here, the German noble hops that are mostly used for bittering. There's no way they use like a IPA variety in here. Definitely feels true to style, like I assumed it would, because I had their terrestrial triple, which is also a Belgian style, and it was brewed to style. So I definitely expected this one to be, and it is brewed to style. So you traditionalists out there are gonna love this beer, which that will segue me into the recommendations. Traditionalist, if you're a Belgian traditionalist, you will love this beer. If you love just Belgian beers in general, and I'm talking about wit beers, I'm talking about doubles, I'm talking about the Belgian, what are they called? The Belgian dark strong ales, which is basically the European way of saying double, triple, quad. That's really what they just call them all. If you're a fan of Trappist ales, which is basically the same stuff, try this beer. If you like old ales, I feel like quads and old ales can be friends, because they have that correlation of the stone fruits. Now, old ales tend to be a lot more boozy. They tend to be barrel aged. At least around here, they're barrel aged. And they've got a lot more caramel in them, whereas as opposed to the quads. Excuse me, I'm brain farting here. I guess the ABV is getting to me. The quads tend to be a lot more sweeter, less caramel, not roasty, smoky, that kind of stuff you get in an old ale. But I do still feel like, that correlation of being big, full-bodied beers, which just has a good viscosity on it. It's not syrupy and chewy, but it's definitely not medium-bodied. I mean, it's getting past medium. It's a very full-bodied beer. I would say it is a voluptuous beer. It's not morbidly obese, but it's voluptuous in terms of body, if that visual makes any sense. It's semi-drying on the back end. It's very wet going down. On the back end, it's drying and makes you want another sip, but it's not like a sour or anything as far as drying goes. Yeah, I don't think that this style is for newcomers. I feel like they're just I'm not saying a newcomer can't enjoy a Belgian quad. I feel like Belgian beers are really sweet. And I personally feel like sweeter beers are very inviting to newcomers. I just feel like quads are so complex that it's either going to be a turn-off or you're just going to miss everything. And you're not really going to appreciate the quad. I would recommend just getting used to, if you're a newcomer, just find an easier style to get into. And then maybe when you're in the mood for a 12% beer and you know what to expect from craft beer, after X amount of time, I don't know what that time would be for you. It could be one beer. It could be 30,000 beers. Try you some dark matter. I cut almost 10 minutes off this video compared to take one, so that's great. As far as the rating goes, I'm going to have to go 4.5 out of a 5. It's just sitting right outside world class. I'm not a brewmaster, obviously. Not a BJCP judge, obviously. I'm just some guy that enjoys beer. And so if I had to sit down with the head brewmaster of Rocket Republic, I'm not sure what I could tell him he could do to just make it a world-class beer. But it is still a damn good beer at 4.5 out of 5. And I think Belgian Quad is becoming my favorite style. I don't want to disrespect my beloved wit beer. I've been drinking wit beer for, at least 7-8 years now. I don't want to disrespect my favorite goat, my new favorite goat beer, Trappist Rochefort 8. That is a Belgian dark strong ale or whatever, I said earlier. I think it's a double by American standards, but I'm not sure what Europe classifies Rochefort 8. But nonetheless, as a style, I just really am growing to love these quads, especially really great quads. I drink them over most beers. I think that wraps it up, guys. I don't think I have too much more to add. If you live in North Alabama, or you live somewhere where you can get Rocket Republic, you can't go wrong with this beer, Dark Matter. It's a great, fantastic beer. And I'm going to end with this. It is National Beer Day. Drink you some beer. Local beer. And if you can do even more than that, drink the small brewery beers. The ones that are like nano breweries. Or the smallest microbreweries you live near. You never know if some of these breweries are making just enough money to where they can keep the lights on every day. You just don't know what a business is going through. especially in an industry as volatile as craft beer, because our palates are ever changing as a consumer base. So support these beers any way you can. So yeah, if you made it to 20 minutes, God bless you. That does it for me tonight. Rocket Republic Dark Matter 4.5 out of 5. Till next time, guys. Cheers.